Thank you for clicking on the video, and here on Nerd Mimic, we are presenting Volo's Guide to Monsters. Now, I am more of a first edition D&D player, and I never really started to get into 5th edition until recently when I started this channel about a year or two ago. So a lot of the older source books, especially this one, with the limited edition cover, as you can see, are really hard to obtain. Now, over the past year or two for the library, we've been able to obtain Tasha's Cauldron, Xanathar's Guide, Mordecai's book, but this one eluded me. Part of the reason I believe is, first of all, this is one of the first source books to come out. The other reason is this has a very difficult cover that people can keep new and fresh. It is all black, but it is printed on a foil cover. So the paint will come off easily. And if you look online at multiple sites, they will look really scuffed up. So I've been waiting for a perfect one and never could find one. So finally I decided to bite the bullet, get one that is relatively good condition, like not too dinged up in the corners, and sort of restore it myself. Now, I'll show you how I got this done, and you can make it look minty fresh like this yourself. So let me just show you here some of the pictures that I have of this book. So, for example, here are some dings. This was the biggest scrape on the book, and that actually would match the back side here. And that was in this location, okay? And then on the top here, you can see some of the paint is scuffed up, but that has been fixed. And also on the other top edge here, there's a lot of white scrapings here. Those were the biggest ones, but there were multiple throughout the book. So you can see here, and I'm filming this in 4K, it's pretty much all gone. So how did I get this done? Well, first of all, this paint is very bad for books or hand holding, I would say. This finish to the book and all the other limited edition books like Tasha's and stuff, they are sort of a little bit sticky and they retain finger marks very readily. So when you see a book used, you might see a lot of fingerprint marks on it. Those will actually come off pretty easily. All you need is a clean white cloth, put some water on it, wipe it, and it will come off really easily. So that part I wouldn't worry about. Now, in regards to those metallic finishes, you have to think of it of the book having a finish like this. It's all silver underneath. And what I did was I took a simple black matte miniature paint, okay? And even though this doesn't look pure black to you, it looks a little bit grayish, a little bit of light color, because the black paint is printed on a silver finish. So when you put a flat black paint on it, it will match this exactly. And all I had to do is take a little detail brush and paint in those recesses. They are actually recesses because this is a foil cover and the paint is a little bit thick, so it creates a little crevice, and this will just easily get in there. You don't have to be perfect. Your miniature paint with a small pigment flakes will just cover that area. I didn't put any varnish or anything like that. I think it's better not to. Also, over time, your finger will sort of rub off the excess that's on the top surface, and then it will look like this. So these books are going upwards of $400. I was able to pick this one a lot cheaper and restore it and make it look like a $400 book. So I'm super happy to finally bite the bullet and get this done. But I've been waiting, and I don't think you'll ever find a perfect condition book. It's just impossible. Now that I got it restored, we will take a look inside this book. So this source book came out in 2016, and it contains multiple monsters. They sort of retired this book and combined this one along with Mordecai's into the Monsters of the Multiverse book. So you might have seen that one. That's the one out now. So this is definitely out of print and highly desired. So let's take a look inside. I am going to hold it with a cloth, which is ridiculous because when you have a source book, you want to be able to read it and use it. You don't want to have to baby it. You can already see here, I just touched it and there's already a fingerprint mark. So yeah, this is really a horrible finish. Hopefully the new editions of the core set books that are coming out later this year don't have the same finish on the limited covers. If they do, I might just get the standard edition, but this is a lot of trouble. All right, that being said, let's take a look within. I haven't actually cracked this open yet myself. I was so busy just restoring the outside. But pretty excited. Of all the source books or campaign books out there, I do like to get the ones with just the monsters. And it's always fun to take a look at these stat blocks as well. So it looks like we start off with chapter 1, Monster Lore. Beholders, bad dreams come true. So a lot of the material you might see here will not be in the Monsters of the Multiverse book. So that's why I took the time and energy to find this book, as it is always interesting to me once I'm going to find out about these monsters and lore with them. So wow, this actually has a lot on the Beholder. That's pretty cool. And I have to read this later. Beholder layers. Another map for a Beholder layer. And more about Beholders. Wow, everything could ever want to know about Beholders. And it looks like it's talking about giants now. Giant tongue. I might have skipped a chapter notice. No, this is still chapter 1, but it's now talking about giants here. Now, they did come out with Bigsby's Glory of Giants. I'm sure that has a lot more in-depth information than what they're covering here. I never did get that book, but maybe now there's no need to, because this actually has a lot of details on giants. Okay, now they're going to talk about gnolls. So I'm just going to do a 100% flip through so you can get an idea what this book might contain and the art book within. And see if the information is worth your time to chase down a copy of this book. Now, the editions without the limited edition cover, those are pretty easy to find. They go around for $50 or less. So those are going to be easier to find. Talking about bugbears now. All these goblin kind. We got hags now. Hey, this is great. This is exactly what I was wanting and looking for. There's all this information lore about monsters. In Dragon Magazine, they used to have a regular article called Ecology of whatever monster of the month it was. And those I always found fascinating. Here is going to be some information about kobolds. Cobalt lair. Yeah, mind flayers. Talking about the elder brain. Let's see what else they got. Talking about their ships here, their flying ships. Their magic ability. Orcs now. So a lot of additional lore on your standard Dungeons and Dragons type creatures. Orogs. Not sure if I heard of this before. Maybe it is just a larger orc. Got an orc stronghold. Yanti. That's too bad they retired this book. All these classic monsters with additional in-depth information. I think people would still like to read that. Okay, so now we're finally up to chapter 2. Looks like we got character races, or as we should say nowadays, species. But I'm an old school gamer, so I'm fine with the terminology races. So here are some other character you could play, even lizard folk. Information's all pretty short, just a page or two. I don't know how many of these they're going to bring over to the new edition. Maybe, I think there's only 10 species in the new edition. For now, that is. I'm sure they're going to add a bunch more later. All right, now finally for the Beastiary. So that chapter 1 with the lore, that was a lot longer and more in depth than I was anticipating. So actually, I was more excited for this, but now after seeing chapter 1, I'm probably more excited for chapter 1. And this is just going to be a whole bunch of stat blocks. Yeah, so here we go. And I'm surprised some of these, like this one, weren't in the original beginning monster manual. Like maybe even this guy. These monsters or variants are rather commonplace, but and Gazer for sure. Bogo. I remember this from first edition. All right, so Cave Fisher. I haven't seen that one before. And of course, cranium rats are popular nowadays. Pretty cool to see the artwork associated with each creature. Devour dinosaurs. So how many different dinosaurs they have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, fire newts, frog hemoth, flail snail. Yeah, so these are some really common, popular monsters. I guess they didn't have space to put in the original monster manual. And so that's why this book is highly desired. It has all these classic D&D monsters. So if you don't have a copy for yourself, I would highly seek one out, and maybe you can find a limited edition like I did and try to restore it. I'm not a restoration expert, but I think it was pretty simple to do. I should have done that years ago. So more null variants. I got grunts here. Some hag variants. All right, so this is the stat block I was wanting to see, the Kryn. I don't know, it just appeals to me. I don't know, this artwork looks a little bit more simple than it was. So I was hoping for something even more majestic than this. Or maybe even larger. Okay, cobalt variants. Okay, mind flayer variants, I suppose. The elder brain. and Witness. And all these other Mind Flayer variants are in the Adventure in the Box Mind Flayer Voyage that we featured on the channel recently. Okay, some Orc variants now. Quickling, yeah, very commonplace D&D creatures. Scorpion folk, I haven't heard of these guys. If you know what adventure they're associated with, please let me know in the comments down below. Okay, Trapper. Wood Ward. Yeth Hound. Haven't heard of this one either. Okay, on T variants. Getting towards the end here. Okay, we got Appendix A for Soldiered Beasts. A Standard Cow. Rock Grubs. A Dolphin. I'm surprised they didn't put a pig or a boar. Okay, we got some non-player characters. They probably could have done away with this part. Added some more creatures. Getting very, very close to the end of the book. All right. So Appendix C, it looks like they're going to list the monsters by creature type. Aberrations, beasts, humanoids, etc. Here's another way to organize them by their challenge rating. And then organization of the creatures by your environment. So always helpful, especially if you're going to run a campaign on the fly. Turn to a page that you might need and just roll the dice and see what your adventures will encounter. All right, so that has been our look at Volo's Guide to Monsters. Thank you for watching. If you found this interesting, hopefully consider hitting that like and sub button. It's certainly free to you and helps us out on the channel. I think the main point of this video really is that, number one, this book is pretty cool, as you saw with the contents. Number two, it's the limited edition. It's difficult to handle because of the finish on this, more so than any other source book. Yeah, this is the worst. And number three, if you do find one, just some tips on how to restore it. Just take a white cloth, wipe it with damp water. You could get all the smudges away, so I'll probably have to do that later with here. And any paint flakes that come off, you can restore it with simple black matte paint and a detailed brush. And you can see the book looks brand new. So I think it is worth the trouble to do, especially if you like to have this sit on your shelf and be a showpiece. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you found this interesting. Keep on adventuring out there.